Our final finalist is Sri Harikrishnan ji. He serves as faculty associate at Amrita International Center for Spiritual Studies, Amrita University. He is a graduate in engineering with over 9 years of experience in the industry and research. With passionate interest in historical and cultural aspects of Indian civilization, he has been researching, writing, and presenting papers for past 5 years. His academic horizon also extends to study in comparative religion and the cultural history of the world. He has also served as editor for the publication of various articles and research panels. When Jayadratha abducts Draupadi, the Pandavas capture him, get Draupadi back, and Yudhishthira decides not to kill him for his actions. But later, Jayadratha leads to Abhimanyu's defeat and death in Kurukshetra war. Isn't this unwanted pardoning resulting in the invasions of India for over thousands of years? Let us hear it from Harikrishnan ji. I request Harikrishnan ji to kindly address the question.
Namaskar. So was Yudhishthira short-sighted for pardoning Jayadratha after he abducts Draupadi, or should he have sentenced him to death? For Yudhishthira, killing him might have been an easy course of action. There is nothing more to be concerned about then, right? And Yudhishthira also faced the pressure to make such a decision, but we can see that he did not. We can see that Yudhishthira thinks about Dushala, who is a sister to him, and the motherly Gandhari. And of course, we can see that Duryodhana would never have such compassion. But Yudhishthira is not Duryodhana. And here we can draw a direct comparison actually. So what Jayadratha was to Yudhishthira is what Draupadi is to Duryodhana. And while Jayadratha was shown compassion for his adharmic conduct, Draupadi Devi was exposed to adharma by the wicked plans of Duryodhana himself in the first place. And a compassionate Yudhishthira, who is the most wise in dharma, let's go of Jayadratha. And we should also know that Yudhishthira is very adept in the laws of the land and in the forms of punishment befitting a crime. And we can know this from say conversations that Yudhishthira had with Narada in the Sabharava, or as Surajji just mentioned about the Abhat dharmas that he learned from Bhima. It's not that he was not knowledgeable until Bhima told him, but Yudhishthira being a king would know all this. And we can also refer to these laws from the Smritis of the time. And alongside this knowledge of the crime and punishment laws and dharma, we can also see that he's concerned for Dushala and Gandhari. And we can also assume that Yudhishthira may have considered that Jayadratha was not just a person who is not ignorant of what dharma and adharma is. And he himself tells Jayadratha that he was being lustful and being drawn into this lust, he is becoming adharmic, and that Yudhishthira advises him not to lower himself to such levels. And taking consideration of all this, and even finally that Jayadratha, when he is in front of Yudhishthira at the time, he's scared, he is lost of his senses, he's humiliated, and he's enslaved. Taking all of this into consideration, we can see that Yudhishthira has let him go. So when you think about why Jayadratha was pardoned, you have to take all of this and understand why Yudhishthira did what he did. And we can see that even after all that, Jayadratha is not grateful to Yudhishthira. He comes back and he also becomes a cause of Abhimanyu's death. But there is no one-to-one correlation. There is Jayadratha was not the sole reason for Abhimanyu's death. It was that at that time there was a context, things were happening, and Jayadratha played an important role there. But there are other reasons also for why Abhimanyu was killed. Abhimanyu's lack of knowledge of escaping the Chakravyuha, the adharma from the part of other Kauravas, when he was attacked many to one. And in the Adi Parva, we know that Abhimanyu did not have a long life. He was destined to die at 16 years of age. And that is why Abhimanyu died. So there is no one-to-one correlation there. And another thing is, if Yudhishthira was a ruling king And if Jayadratha was an adharmic invader, we can question the pardoning in this way even more. But we can see that Yudhishthira is forgiving someone who has attempted uh, wrong to his family, and it is kind of personal. And at the time, the kingdom is being ruled by an even more adharmic ruler. And altogether, we can only conclude that Yudhishthira embraced dharma irrespective of the opinions and the feelings of enmity that he had. And we cannot say that this dharma led to a loss later, and that foreseeing such a loss, he should have ignored dharma there. That would be the direct answer to the question. And on a larger sense, we should know that we cannot say holding on to dharma in the face of adharma, or holding on to dharma when we face evil-minded people who are not knowledgeable about dharma or adharma, or don't even care, is the reason for India's fall at the hand of invaders. We do have dharma that needs to be followed while facing such enemies. There are Kutanitis. Chanakya's Kutanitis are famous. And we have Abadharmas, just like Surajit mentioned before, that needs to be taken up during emergencies or critical situations. And what needs to be there is the knowledge of when to take up such Abadharmas when the situation comes, or as a king being ready with such Kutanitis in the face of such enemies. And we can see a popular example is how Shivaji defeated Afzal Khan. And like that, if and in history, if ever we have lost somewhere or sometime, it was only because of lack of wisdom or lack of courage or strength. And it is not because someone held on to dharma. Dharma is always inclusive of the knowledge that is needed to deal with adharmis of all kinds. And it is not restricted by to a certain boundary. Its application is not limited by time or context. Every time and every context has a dharmic root that we can take, that we can use to establish Sanatana Dharma. And when we see anything to the contrary, it is not that that person held on to dharma. It would only be a misguided sense of dharma. And in whatever the situation, there is no question of letting go of dharma to get things done, or there is no question of resorting to adharma to establish dharma. For example, in Mahabharata itself, we can see um, Krishna blocked the sun with his chakra, or he made Yudhishthira lie to kill Drona. He placed Sigandi in front of Bhishma, and even he asked Arjuna to kill an unarmed Karna. Even people often interpret this as adharma, but in fact, what we need to understand is that this is dharma applied well, applied by Bhagavan, who knows its subtlety in entirety. And the same is the case with Rama also in when he kills Bali. And Bhagavan Rama himself says that it was dharma. Amma also gives some examples, similar examples in contemporary levels. Like when police officers may drive at 100 plus when chasing a criminal, or they may disguise themselves as and live among thieves. We cannot say that it is adharma, right? And even a recent news was there where a drug cartel was sketched by the law agencies. What they did was they released phones in the market with a pre-installed spying app. And after a period of 5 years, they were able to trace the cartels working all over the world. So, can we call it dharma in the guise that they were spying on people? It had a greater dharma behind it, right? There is a popular shloka from Yaksha Krishna. Tarko pradishtah srudayo vibhinna nasa vrishiryasya madamna vibhinnam dharmasya tattvam nihidam guhaya mahajano yena gadah sapanta. That is, this shloka will be discussed detail in one of the upcoming modules by our Achidamra Swami. For now, what we need to understand from here is that the concept of dharma is very subtle and it is beyond our intellect, and we cannot rely on our intelligence, or we cannot rely on the intelligence of other people to understand dharma. All we can do is, if we want to rely on somebody, only thing we can do is we can rely on the Mahatmas of our time, or the Mahatmas of that time, whenever the time is. And that's why it said, Mahajano Yena Gada Sapanta. This comes in the Yaksha Prashna. So to conclude, what we can say is that when we look at history and when we look at the several contexts and other stories and narratives, we feel that so and so failed because he stuck to dharma. But what we need to understand is that we feel so because we don't understand its subtleties. We often think of dharma as very straightforward and try to discern it as a straightforward thing using our shallow intellect, or a shallow, not our shallow intellect, maybe a shallow application of intellect. But what we have to understand is that is never the case. Om Amrita Shri.